and welcome to Katrina's Creations. This is the Wednesday edition, and today is going to be a tutorial for making crocheted dish scrubbies. So let me tell you what you're going to need. These can be knitted, but the tutorial is going to be for crochet. But the technique to get this put together is kind of the same. So let's get started and I'll tell you what you need. So the supplies you are going to need are a crochet hook. This one is a J, which is a size 10 or 6 millimeter. This is the size I'm using. If you are doing this by knitting, you will need probably between a US 6 and a US 8, as if you were doing worsted weight. The other thing you're going to need is tulle. Now, when I say tulle, this is like wedding veil type of stuff. Now there's different types of netting you can get. This is the wedding veil type, which like I said is called tulle. There's also a heavier netting that you can buy in a fabric store that's used for making like crinolines or skirts to make them kind of poof out a little bit. That is a heavier netting. I have used it. It works great for scrubbies, for dishes. It's very hard on your hands though. And it's not something you would want to use like to scrub your tub with because it is very scratchy. Where this is made with the tulle and it is abrasive, but it's not so abrasive that it's hard to work with or that it's going to scratch your fiberglass tub. So it's a little bit softer. You could, depending on how tough your skin is, use it like to exfoliate. That's what I made this for originally. I about took a layer of skin off. It didn't work so well. So the tulle that I am using, this came from a fabric store. It was on a bolt, you know, like a fabric bolt, and I unrolled it off of there and I rolled it into like a jelly roll. Okay, it also, and I'm going to explain why I did that in just a minute. Another place you can get tulle from is from Dollar Tree. You can buy it in the store in spools, and I think it's like 9 feet long and it's 6 inches wide for $1. You have to kind of weigh the difference, see which one's going to be cheaper. You can also buy it online through Dollar Tree. It comes in a variety of like 4 packs of colors, but you do have to buy the entire case. So it's like 21 spools. So yeah, you gotta weigh the prices, see which one's gonna work out better. But this is what I had. Actually, a neighbor gave this to me. Now to get started, we need to cut this into strips. We're going to be cutting our tulle into 1.5 inch width lengths, which is why I rolled this up. Rather than laying this thing out, this is probably about 9 feet of netting. I was unwinding it off the bolt and did not realize how much there is here. Rather than have to cut 1.5 inches all the way across that 9 feet over and over and over again. So rather than have to do that, I have rolled this up like a jelly roll, and now I'm going to slice it, basically. I'm going to cut it in 1.5 inch sections all the way across, and that will give me the lengths that I need. So it does not need to be rocket science, so don't stress over this. It is not going to be straight. It's not a big deal because once these are crocheted together, you will never know. So don't worry about measuring. Don't worry if some parts get wider, some parts get narrower. It honestly doesn't matter. You just want to roughly keep it around 1.5 inches. So I'm going to get the camera turned around and I'm going to show you my cutting it into the sections, and then we're going to get started with the tutorial. Okay, you can see this is the end here, and I'm actually using some heavy-duty kitchen shears to cut through here because it is relatively thick. And I want to cut about 1.5 inches straight through. Just like that, so that when I unroll it, there is the strip that I am working with. So I'm not going to cut the rest of these all the way across. You get the general idea. All right, I have cut my strands, and as you can see, it is not straight. It is not really a big deal at all because this is going to be kind of wadded up, bunched up like this when you work on it, so it's really not going to matter. Now I am going to, this is a tutorial with crochet, but I am just going to give you just a brief synopsis of what you're going to do if you decide to do this in knitting. You would be using a US between a 6 and an 8 depending on your gauge, and you would cast on 25 stitches that you would then continue to knit over and over and over again. So you would be knitting garter stitch for as long as it would take to have something that is square shaped. So if you do knit it, it will be square, not circular. So that's all I'm going to really say about the knitting, simply because the technique for working with this and joining the different strands isn't going to change between the crochet or the knitting. The technique itself is the same. So to get started, I do not do a magic loop. I just find it's kind of hard to find the little circle, the little loop when I finish tying everything together. So I tie a small knot, I slip it over my pinky finger here and tie it down and that is what I use for my loop right there. Now as I work the double crochets around in this first row, I'm going to incorporate the tail into that, and then whatever's left over I will just trim away. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the yarn through the first time here, and I am going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. There's my chain up. I'm now going to do 7 double crochets into this loop, and as I said, I will be incorporating this tail into it as I go. So we're going to do 7 double crochets. So I now have 1 chain up and 7 double crochets. So I want to just kind of squish it around here a little bit, fill up that circle, and now I'm going to join the chain up right here. Now row 2, I'm going to chain 3 up. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And I am going to be doing 2 double crochets in between each of the posts. So there's a total of 8 posts from the row before, the 1 chain up and the 7 double crochets. So altogether there are 8 posts, and you're going to be putting 2 double crochets in between each post. So I'm coming around to this last stitch here. You can see I have 2 double crochets in each space. So it's a total of 1 chain up and 15 double crochets. So I'm going to do my last double crochet into this space. And I'm going to join it to the chain up. So that is row 2. So now row 3, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you are going to alternate between 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets in between each of the posts. So the first one here, you would put 1 double crochet in. The second one, you will put 2. The next one, you will do 1. And the next one, you will do 2 double crochets. And you're going to do that all the way around for a total of 1 chain up and 23 double crochets total. So it'll be a total of 24 posts. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way around. All right, I am ready for my last stitch here. And I've run out of the strand here. So that will be our next step of what to show you what to do there. So I'm not even gonna be able to get the entire last stitch. So at that point, I will take my next strip of netting, and because this kind of clings to itself, it's very easy to work with. You're not going to tie it together. You're just going to lay them on top of each other and then kind of roll it together like that. And then keep on going. So I'm going to finish my last double crochet here. And I'm going to join my stitch to the chain up. And at the same time, my strand is now joined to this. And you'll see I have a little bit of extra kind of bunchiness right here. Again, don't worry about that. If anything sticks out when this is done, you can just trim the edges of it. For instance, you can see this is where my beginning, the little tail was sticking out. I'll just trim that when I'm done. And the same if there's any leftovers here. So let's do the very last row. This is a total, it only takes 4 rows to do this. So we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we are going to be repeating this last row. So you're going to be alternating between 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets in between each of the posts. So let's get started. All right, I have come all the way around and I am doing my last stitch here. And then I'm going to join, and you should end up with 1 chain up and 35 double crochets for a total of 36 for your last row. So here I've joined, and then to end it, I just give this a little bit of a tug, so I have a little bit larger loop. I twist my crochet hook a couple times. I pull Well, actually, I'll trim a little bit of this so I don't have as much to pull through. Like that. I will pull it through the loop here. Pull it down snug. Don't pull too tight because you will tear the netting. So just snug. And then I just will weave in my end here and trim it. And that is all there is to it. So I'm just going to use my crochet hook and weave my ends in. Like that, and then I'm just going to go through and trim the excess. I'm going to trim the little tail piece at the beginning. And there it is. You have a dish scrubby. So if you found this tutorial helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching, everyone.